Good afternoon. So, your president was talking about implementing IKS for 1.5 minutes or something. One of the basic things about Indian knowledge systems is you are not supposed to sit in a class immediately after a heavy lunch. Should have maybe you can have discussions or have a light walk, all that. Anyway, we need to change a lot of things, but right now we don't have a choice. So let me get started. So, as you listened to my introduction, see, I started my career as an electronics and telecommunication engineer, and I was in the Department of Electrical Engineering. And towards the end of my life, my last 3 PhD students worked on what is called electroencephalogram, that is the brain waves, and we worked on different aspects, effect of certain breathing techniques, certain pranayama and meditation, and also about sleep disorders, detecting sleep disorders from EEG and so on. My interest in this pranayama breathing techniques started like this, at the, I'm right now around 65 plus. When I was around 50, I started having this BP, and I took medicines for almost 9.5 years. And if you have a hypertension patient in your family, the doctors say that you have to take it lifetime, right? Because it's not a medicine. They call it management. It's not a cure of hypertension. It is management of hypertension. The right doctors will always use that. And even though I was taking the tablets and whatever they said, daily you do some walk, don't eat oil, don't eat salt, whatever. I was trying to follow most of it, and still, with time, the dosage was increasing. Started with 2.5 mg and then 5 mg and then 2 times a day and all that. And I used to travel, because I had funded projects, I used to travel from Bangalore to Delhi, just be there for a day and come back. And sometimes I used to forget my medicine, and then I can't sleep well, or I'll feel a little dizzy and so on. And then some student introduced me to certain pranayama techniques. I learned some things, and also some meditation. I followed it very strictly for a year or so, and slowly my BP came to control. I'm not suggesting this to anybody, but I do experiments with myself. So I slowly tapered off my medicine without telling the doctor. I was getting the BP checked, and every time I used to tell the medicine, but I never used to take it. And slowly I tapered off and finally stopped. It's 5.5 years now till I completely stopped my medicine, and I'm perfect. Okay, I have no issues. Once in a while I check my BP, and I sleep well. I don't have any issues. So then, once it happened after a year or so, I was wondering, as a researcher, what is the connection? All I did is some breathing techniques, maybe 40 minutes a day, and sometimes 20 minutes of meditation and so on. And how is it my BP is getting under control? They started reading a lot of literature. So most of what I am presenting today is not based on our research, except 2 or 3 slides which we did in the recent past. I would have studied at least some 100 papers about my more interest is not that. See, there are thousands of papers which says that you do this yoga, you do this pranayama, this will come down, that will increase, heart rate will come down, all that. But they don't talk about the mechanism. You understand? Why it is happening, how it is happening, why should this affect that, right? But my interest was that. So I had to really dig through many things, and then this is kind of put up by myself, and I was happy with what came, but I was not sure, whether people like you from life science will accept that, because I never had any background in life science. I didn't even study biology in my school. So I sent it to my friend, who is a director of research in Patanjali Yoga Foundation, Research Foundation in Rishikesh. And she said, oh, it's such a nice thing. Your approach is so totally different being an engineer. I'm writing a book, and I consider that as part of that. So it got published in June 2020 as a chapter in that. So after that, I got my courage. Okay, this makes sense, whatever I'm thinking. I have given this talk in Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai. I have given this talk to neurologists and psychiatrists, neurophysiology people in NIMAINS, which is a national level medical institutions. And I'm still studying. So this is mostly on the physical health, but recent interest, I'm also looking at what are the effects of this on the psychological health. And there is also things beyond. So how much time I have? 1 hour from now? Oh, that was but somebody will suffer at the end, I suppose. So it is, but I started already few months before. So let's say 2:35 I started. So we'll finish at 3:35. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that. So a little bit, so I think you remember the talk. So I'm going to link mainly the breathing and the health of your heart and brain. So brain, as you know, it's a miraculous system. The more and more I read about human body, it's a miracle for me. It controls our entire life from birth until we breathe our last. It controls everything from walking to talking to eating to sleeping, breathing, interacting with the world around us. And whatever gets damaged and misbehaves. So one of my friends who is a neurosurgeon, he says, your brain is like the hard disk of our computer. Okay. So somebody has a stroke. So the data and the files folders, they're all erased. And sometimes you have to relearn if you've ever seen. So brain is a very critical thing for our existence. And then the heart, which supplies the nutrition in terms of glucose, oxygen, whatever you eat, even your medicines has to be supplied, delivered by your heart. See, wherever part of the body you have problems, your injection is always here or, on your seat. And it has to go to the thing there. So the body is an intelligent system. It knows where to deliver the medicine and it has to go through the blood only. And this number is wrong. So it was 37.2. Somewhere I made a mistake. So whatever you do has to be delivered to each and every cell of our body, which is around 37.2 trillion is the latest calculation. And it, again, heart works non-stop from birth to death. People talk a lot about what you should eat, like my doctor always said, you should eat this, you should not eat this. Even today, if you go to YouTube, there'll be 1,000 things about what you should eat or what you should not eat for your health. But eating you do only 3 days a week, 3 times a day, unless you are in US, people get up at night 12 o'clock and take ice cream. Most of us don't do, okay? And many people in our country have shown that if you stop eating for a few days also, you can still be alive, right? Whereas breathing is not like that. If you stop breathing for more than 5 minutes, your brain will be dead. So that's so critical. So in my world, breathing is much more important than food. And if you can take care of your breathing well, you don't even need to bother so much about your food. I'm not saying, eat whatever you want, but that much of care that they talk about is not worth it. You need to become a PhD in what you should eat, the way doctors talk about now. But if you take care of your breathing, you can relax. So breath work is the only intervention that can transform us at all levels. This I'm knowing it because last weekend I attended a thing called 5-element breath work. It's a very intense breathing. You breathe inside the water, that is up to the neck in the water, or up to the neck in earth, or, lying very close to fire. Each of the elements we do that. And I have given the breathwork session to other people. It's amazing. I still don't know what are all the mechanisms. I started studying, but it's amazing. It can release things which are stored in your subconscious and release you psychologically, emotionally, and so on. So this can work in physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual levels. At the basic level, regular practice of simple pranayama techniques improves the health of even senior citizens at the age of 90. although they have never exercised before. How do I say that? I am currently working with two of my relatives. One is my mother. She completed 89 in July, and another is my aunt. She also completed 89 in April. So both of them are in their 90s, and my aunt used to be like that, and she won't walk even inside the apartment. She said, I can't, I'm too weak, I don't have energy. But somehow I convinced her, and she started doing some simple breathing. Now it's 3-4 months, and she is in the 3rd floor of her apartment. She walks herself to the 4th floor where there is no lift, and then goes around walking and comes back. And her head also has become erect, and she's really amazed. Even I am amazed. So if the body can learn, for a 90-year-old person, it's just waiting for you to do some action. So that's what I learned. The body is a living system, self-repairing, amazing. So I'm really fired to learn more and do this. So hopefully, Professor Sinha will give me another opportunity after a year to talk about the mechanisms of breathing for the psychological health. Right now, I'm not fully equipped on that, but I know it works. So the starting point of our life is an inhale. The moment the child is born, it inhales, and when it starts weeping, it starts exhaling. That's the starting point of our life, and the end point of your life is your last exhale. So breathing exists from the first moment to last moment. So breathing sustains one non-stop even when one sleeps or is in a coma. So life is sustained by breathing. So what is my commitment in this talk? This is what I'm committed to deliver in this talk. Your relationship with your breathing will completely transform by the end of this talk, if you, of course, don't sleep and listen. You will realize that breathing is significantly more important than diet, and you will naturally be more responsible for your health. You will start practicing simple breathing exercises. I'm not asking you to do some complicated stuff. Just 5-10 minutes, if you start, you will see the effect. And I will tell you what is Brahmari. Some of you may already know. And this is a term that I coined, because many people, when they say, why don't you do some breathing, they say, I don't have time. I can't get up in the morning. So I said, none of that is needed. You don't have need any time. You can do this when you are traveling in a bus or a train or, a car or flight, whatever. Or, when you are lying down in the bed and you are not able to sleep still, it will take few minutes. That time you can do. Or you got up, alarm is gone, but you don't want to get up out of the bed. How many of you do that? You're out, but you're not up. So that time you can do this. So I said, so you don't need any special time for this. And it's a fact. I do that. So that is called conscious continuous breathing. I will explain more about it. And my term for that is most modern deep breathing, because most modern means for our generation, you can't say get up at 4 o'clock, take cold water bath and sit there and do this. No, they will say get off, get lost from here. So, but you can do this, whatever is your daily cycle, you can still do this and get the benefit. So that's why I say you can practice anytime, anywhere, and if you do that, my promise, and you can take me to task if it doesn't happen, your energy level, awareness and alertness will go up. See what happens with old people usually, they're not very alert physically or mentally, right? They sometimes keep repeating the same thing. You get bored. They say in 1960 they will start, then you want to sleep, right? So how many of you have heard this word called ajardyam? Anybody has heard the word ajardyam? Nobody? Surprising. It's a word in Sanskrit. There is a shloka for Hanuman called Buddhir Bhalam Yashodairim. Has anyone heard this shloka? So there is a word ajardyam vakpatitvam hanumat saranadvari. So the word ajardyam, you can't translate it in English. Many of the real words in Sanskrit are our languages. So ajardyam means the body is ready and willing to do anything at any time which your mind wants. So you would have found many times, at night 10 o'clock you feel very sleepy and dull, but you have not finished some work. You want to do it, but the body says, no, we'll see tomorrow. How many of you heard that? So that means you don't have the Ajadium. So whatever, if it was there, you would have immediately jumped out of your bed and done and finished. You come back, that is called Ajadium. And what I have found is this gives that. I was not like that 10 years back, but now I am like that. Night 10 o'clock, I am 65 complete. You ask me, I have not done this. If I remember, I can go and work for 1 hour or 2 hours after just lying down in the bed, and I'll come back and work and go without any issues. And this is what is possible by breathing. Okay. So thanks, Professor Shena, for this opportunity. And I have very long list of people whom I need to thank for my life, whatever I learned. So we'll proceed. So, like your president said, it shouldn't be only theory. Okay. So we need to do also a little bit. So I want you to, all of you, to sit erect. Don't use the back. Sit erect. Sure, if you don't like to do it, it's fine. Relax. So sit erect with your back erect and close your eyes. I hope all of you know what is belly breathing and chest breathing. Belly breathing means, when you breathe, mainly your stomach goes up and down. Your diaphragm is active. Chest breathing is mainly your chest goes up and down. There is less of, all the time there will be, both will be there to some extent, but what is primarily moving that is what I want you to observe. And what happens when you close your eyes, we are not doing a meditation or prayer or anything. When you close your eyes, 75% of your sensory input to your brain will be off. So you will be able to attend to yourself better because you are not seeing anything from outside. That's the only purpose of closing your eyes. So I want you to close your eyes to observe yourself as to, I will tell you two different things. First, few breaths, you have to keep your hands on your thigh like this. The palm facing the bottom or the floor or the thigh. Okay. And then do some deep breathing. Okay. As deep as possible, as comfortable as possible. You don't need to do your best. Okay. Just be deeper than usual, right? And then see whether this is moving more or this is moving more. And once you are clear about it, then you flip. You put the palm facing the this top, okay? And then continue another few breaths and see whether you can see any shift, any difference. Shall we start? Yeah. Ready? Close your eyes, start. Those you are kind of observed, you can flip the hand. Keep your hands on your thighs. Okay, open your eyes. Some of you who couldn't observe, you can go home and check again. So anybody observed any difference? Please raise your hand. Yeah, tell me. So your name, please, madam? Chetana. So Chetana says that when she kept her hands this way, it was more of belly breathing, and when she flipped, it was more of chest breathing. How many of you felt a similar thing? You can look around. So there are many people, right? For some people, you see that this is a major thing. If you've seen it other way around, it's possible that, you're not, it's not easy to observe ourselves. We are used to observing the world, not ourselves. So you need to do a little more, or your belt may be very tight. Okay, that also disturbs. Okay, so even such simple things, just flipping this makes a difference. Can you see that? Or at least 20, 30 people said that they could observe this. Okay, rest of it, with some practice, you can do that. So there are many things within our body which we don't know what is working. If you ask me why, I still have not found out. The moment I find out, I will let you know. Through Dr. Akhilesh or Professor Sinan, they'll let you know. So, what is our natural breathing rate? Anybody can say what is our normal breathing rate of an adult? 72 is heart rate. If 72, you will blast if it is your breathing. Huh? 16, okay. Any other numbers? 16 is actually very good, but normal adults, it will vary from 20 to 30. Okay, and with age, unless you are doing pranayama or something, it will keep increasing. It will become shallow, and number of breaths will increase. And there is no proof for what I am saying, but in our ancient books, it says that your life is given, if you believe in God or nature, is given in terms of the number of breaths, and not in terms of the number of years. So if you slow down your breath, you can increase your life. That's what it says. Okay, don't ask me for proof because I don't have any proof. But there are some indirect indications. How many of you know what is the lifetime of a dog? 9? So it's around 10 to 15 years. Okay, it varies. And do you know the breathing rate of a dog? When it is not doing anything, just lying down, it's more than 30. See, dog usually always like that. It's always fast, right? And which animal lives longest? Tortoise. Very good. So you're all life sciences, so you know better than me. So for me, I had to learn. For you, it's a kindergarten subject. So see, there are tortoises, easily they live up to 180 years. Some of them live up to 300. Okay. And do you know this breathing rate of the tortoise? 4 per minute. Okay. And see, we generally say that if somebody is heavy, they may get health issues and all that, right? We generally believe it's not really true. Our Ayurveda man, I would have told you, I don't know, I had to leave. So I don't know whether he said, see, if you are a Kapha personality, you will be stout. So it also depends on many things. There are any number of stout people who have lived very happily without diabetes, without BP, had a good life. So it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Anyway, coming back. So elephant, which is so stout, it's tons, but elephant lives up to 80 years. And its breathing rate is also comparable to tortoise. So we have some indirect indications. So if you breathe slow, you can live long. And if you breathe very fast, and so now you are trying to see what is your original breathing rate and how much you can reduce. Okay. With not too much effort. Like I said, don't breathe with a lot of effort. Similarly, you slow down a little bit. Comfortably, you slow down and see how you are changed. So the way I will do it is, I will have a timer. You again close your eyes because it's easier to observe, and this thing. All you have to do is breathe normally. Whatever is your normal breathing, you don't do anything new. Just observe your breathing. Observe your normal, regular breathing. And just count the number. One inhale and one exhale is one cycle. Like that, I will tell you when the 1 minute is over. And let's see how many times you are breathing. And then we will change. I'll ask you to slow down, and then you can check how much we are able to change. Okay. So are you ready? So I'll say 3, 2, 1, start, and then you close your eyes and start counting. Okay? 3, 2, 1, start. Yes, time is out. So some of you shout out, how many breaths? 18, very good. 10, 9, they are yogis already. Yeah. A little shout, madam. 16, okay. 5. You didn't count well, sorry. You do every day? Okay. 23, yeah. Anybody higher than the 23? 14? Yeah, yourself, sir, what is it? 17, okay. So now we'll do the other thing, okay. Wherever you are, it's fine. Lower, she's already practicing, so she's able to do it at 5. But you didn't control your breathing. You just counted the normal? Okay, fine. So now what I want you to do is, when I said 3, 2, 1, you close your eyes and you slow down your breathing. Right? Whatever is your normal breathing, slow down as what is comfortable. I'm not again asking you to do your best, and no, we are not in a competition. Just whatever is comfortable, slow it down and breathe as slowly as possible, and inhale as slowly and this thing is possible, and then count again. How many cycles? Shall we start? Yeah, 3, 2, 1, yes. Yes, time is over. Now, from 16 to 8, okay. 10 to 4, 9 to 4, 19 to 6, yes sir. 20 to 9, very good. Somebody was 17 there. 20 to 9, I can't hear sir, a little louder. 1, 3, okay. Yes sir, you said something? 16 to 8, so okay. So we don't have time to listen to everybody. So you got that, no? Roughly people can reduce almost, bring it down to half, right? So of course she is already 5, so I didn't ask her. You don't need to reduce further, okay? That is already very good level, okay? Yeah, please. Yeah. Gap is there after the exhale. I am not very good in Hindi, madam. Yes. Yes. Right. Yeah, I understand. So, she used our technical word kumbhak. So this is just a pause, okay? So this is also something I don't have enough time to do all the experiments that I want to do. I should give me two hours. Next time, Professor Sinasab, I will ask. So you can do that later. In fact, I was telling you about that most modern breathing. The most modern breathing is one in which there is no pause. Thanks for asking that question. That's why it's called, the other name, technical name for it is conscious, continuous breathing. Conscious means, because normally we are not aware of our breathing, right? Even if you are sleeping, it goes on. You don't need to be conscious. But you need to be conscious first. Then you need to make sure that it's absolutely zero pause. It has to be like, you don't need to fill up. Like, let's see this. Even if it is slow, so there are two aspects. One is it's continuous, no pause. Another is it's a constant rate. You all know what is rate, right? The amount of air that you are taking in per second or whatever time, that's almost constant throughout. So you are not initially, if you're not careful, if you ask you to breathe maximum, initially you will inhale more, but once the lung is almost full, then you slow down. You will try to somehow inhale. So the rate is not constant. So you need to do it such a way that is comfortable. You don't have to fill your lung, but just deeper enough. And then once it is deeper enough, you start exhaling at the same rate. Inhale at the same rate, exhale at it's like. This is what I call conscious, continuous breathing. This is what I want you to do before you sleep, when you get up, and if you don't want to get up out of the bed, or when you're sitting in this thing, or even you are in a class, your teacher is not yet come, right? You can do that all of the times, and it's extremely powerful. Like I said, you do it for 1 month, whenever possible, your energy level will clearly go up. No questions about it. Okay, let's go. That's what is called. So that's what she asked the right question at the right time. Is there a brief pause between the inhalation and exhalation? She has a pause after exhalation. Some of you will have a pause after inhalation. There are a lot of deeper meanings, which my guru has said in terms of psychology, but we don't have time to get into that. So if there is a pause, we call it discontinuous breathing. Okay, it's not wrong or bad. It's just called discontinuous. That's all. So continuous means there is no pause, like I said. So this pause that she has is distinct from intentional breath hold. See, there are some pranayama techniques. It says you inhale, hold for some time, exhale, and sometimes hold for some time on that. So that's a different thing. But what I'm saying is the normal breathing itself, you are not doing anything. You are just observing, and you find that it's not instantaneously going back after inhalation, or it's not instantly starting back after exhalation. So that is what is called discontinuous. And when you are consciously breathing, I want you to avoid that pause. So what I learned in the last weekend, which again, don't ask me, I don't have any proof. When I have it, I will tell you. Prolonged deep, this conscious continuous breathing increases the proportion of prana, which is the life force that enters in each breath. So what is prana? I still don't know how to explain, but I have experienced what it is. I learned this specific breathing where you have to intensely breathe for more than 1 hour. I continued for almost 1 hour, 15 minutes. And that was the best of my session. I would have done almost 15 sessions in the past few months. That day, night, I didn't get any sleep. I thought something is wrong. Okay. But I tried all my techniques, nothing worked. So I gave up. At 4 o'clock, I got up and took bath and started doing my work. And next day, I asked my guru, I asked him, this is what happened. He said, are you feeling tired? I said, no, I'm not feeling tired. And the next day, throughout there were classes, the last Sunday. And I could attend fully with total alertness. I took notes. In fact, I was the one who wrote the notes and supplied to others. Okay. So I told him no, because as a faculty, many times I have been awake throughout the night when, some deadlines were there and all that. But next day morning, I'll be completely gone. Okay. You have to sustain yourself with coffees and washing your face throughout the day. Okay. Okay, I will be feeling sleepy, dizzy and all that. But this day, I was perfect. I asked him, he said, that is what is prana. You have been filled with prana, that's the life energy. And that is the energy with which people in the Himalayas, you would have seen, some sadhus, see, they won't get nutritious food, right? Nobody will give them apples and all that, vitamins and all that, right? So no keto diet, nothing. But they are very healthy. He says because they breathe in more prana than oxygen. Similarly, children. He says children, most of you would have seen a child which is 1 year old, mother is so tired, but the child will be full energy at night, 10 o'clock, right? Or all the mothers know it well. So he said it is because the mind is free, it inhales more prana. Prana is also there, it seems. Along with air, prana is kind of energy. Okay, and under certain circumstances, you can inhale more prana. And the more your mind is diverted with all your social media and all that, less of prana goes. And he says for a child, it is 90% prana, 10% oxygen. And with age, many times it almost reverts. It's only 10% prana, 90% oxygen. So your energy levels are low. Okay. So I told you I'm a trained, this particular breathwork is called rebirthing 5-element breathwork therapies. So rebirthing means, when somebody is totally different, hey, you are reborn, we say, no? Like it's a new person, new life, completely different personality like that. So anyway, more of it later if you are interested, not today. So pranayama is much better than yogasanas, okay? A lot of people talk about yoga and then it's all about asana, some exercise. But in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, it's called Ashtanga. It means there are 8 steps. And so the steps are like this: Yama, Niyama, Asana. Asana is the Yogasana. So pranayama comes above that. Okay, so it has more power than yoga. So the body has around 37.2 trillion cells. Nobody counted it, but there is a paper on this. They have made some systematic analysis by which, what is the size of a neuron, what is the size of heart cell, and all that they have said. So average, it seems this is a recent number. It may be revised, I don't know. But I calculated that if you divide by this number by the number of people in the world now, we have more than 800 crores of people, right? It comes to 4,700 times. So the number of cells in your body is 4,700 times the number of human beings in the world now. You can imagine what kind of a complex system it is. And each of them is alive. Each of them has an input, output. It has a function. It makes protein or whatever functions, right? But each of them needs oxygen and nutrition. And all of them they work in coordination like a symphony. So this is from Bhagavad Gita. It says, Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. I don't have time. I won't read the whole thing. It says all the beings. It's not only human beings. All the beings, like every living thing, including trees and animals and all that, they are made up of food. So what you think is your body is just the chapati, whatever you have eaten, right? Because when we are created from our parents, we are one cell. And you can't even see it with the open eyes. It's such a small thing. The rest of it is food. Of course, food has converted into cells and all that. I don't deny that. But the basic ingredients is the same as food. Okay. So every cell in the body has the same DNA. You know it very well. Whereas whatever you ate, the rice has only rice DNA. The chapati, the wheat has wheat DNA. If you are meat eater, it has that animal's DNA. So the next day, if you see, your body has nothing of that. So it has to convert the whole thing. All the DNA has to be broken down and convert into your DNAs, right? When I started, of course, all of you may know it, because I'm not a life science student. When I learned, my God, what a miracle it is. 37.2 trillion cells have to be maintained. And everything that you eat, you take all kinds of nonsense we eat. Anybody gives something, if you like it, you keep eating. And the body has to do all the dirty work. And it does. And in spite of that, sometimes we manage to spoil it, okay? So our food has to be converted into these unique cells, which is your own DNA. So it's an amazing 24/7 chemical factory, our body, self-repairing. And there are innumerable sensors, the body is full of sensors everywhere. It can measure carbon dioxide, oxygen, pH and everything else. So we'll come to this is main building of Indian Institute of Science from where I retired last year. So pranayama can even reprogram your genes. All of you would have heard of what is epigenetics, right? Anybody doesn't know about epigenetics? You're all experts in epigenetics, okay? No. So actually pranayama, there is a paper which shows epigenetic effects of just 2 hours of pranayama. And pranayama can protect you from COVID-19, okay? Why am I saying that? So there is a particular breathing technique called Brahmari, okay? The Brahmari is just inhale deeply, and when you exhale with a humming sound, like it's like this. So you are breathing through your nose only, inhaling peacefully deep, exhaling with a humming sound. So when you do that, there is, you have this, let me see, yes. So these paranasal sinuses, which are, cavities behind your nose. And so most of you know that it has properties. It humidifies the air, it preheats the inhaled air. It can increase the resonance of speech, and it can serve as a crumpled zone to protect vital structure in the case of a facial trauma and so on. But not much known is they also produce a gas called nitric oxide. Okay, and this is going on all the time. All of us, we have a nitric oxide generator in your sinus cavities. And so, where is it? So there was one Nobel laureate, we'll get into the slide. He got a Nobel Prize only for finding out the mechanisms of what all the nitric oxide can do in your body. Okay, so it's such an important this thing. So it inhibits viral protein and RNA synthesis. If you have studied about how the COVID this thing works, it goes and does something with your RNA and all that. I don't know the details, but you know it better. And it actually inhibits the replication of the SARS-CoV-1 virus. That was a paper was written in 2005. So so later, after I talked about this in this thing, so end of 2020, there were papers which actually talked about nitric oxide effect for the COVID virus also. Nitric oxide has a well-known property of reducing blood pressure by dilating your blood vessels. All the lumen of your blood vessels in those epithelial cells, they can produce nitric oxide when it is needed. And I talked to some doctors. This when a child is born premature, let's say 7 months, 6 months, and all that, they put it in this thing. They check whether the lung is good enough. If the lung is not fully developed, they actually add nitric oxide to the air and give it, because the nitric oxide expands the blood vessels in the lung and it helps absorb more oxygen. So it's such a powerful chemical, but the body has it already. So when you inhale, when you do the humming breathing, there is a scientist who proved that the production of nitric oxide, not production, release of nitric oxide into your breathing increases by 15 times, not 15%. 15 times, 1,500 times percentage. So nitric oxide has also been shown to be involved in neurogenesis. You know what is neurogenesis? New neurons are formed, and where? In hippocampus. You know how important it is when you can get neurons. But of course, the study has been done in rats, and people assume that similar thing must happen in the human beings also. So this is a guy there are a number of scientists, and the main person I heard, there is a nice video or talk by this Louis Ignarro. He's one of the Nobel laureates who were given Nobel Prize for the discovery nitric oxide as a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. That's the main contribution. So he says nitric oxide has many more functions. It has contribution to memory and so on. And he thinks that there is more nitric oxide in the brain than the rest of the body and so on. We don't have time enough to go into that now. So this is the guy. This Lundberg is the one who found out humming greatly increases nasal nitric oxide. And this paper was published in American Journal of Respiratory Critical Care and Medicine in 2002. Okay, so the knowledge about nitric oxide and its increase and all that is fairly within 20 years, 20 plus. So he said it increased 15-fold during humming compared with quiet exhalation. And see, there is one firm you can Google and see. It's called Sanitize. It's a Canadian firm, and somewhere in 2021 they claim that they have created a nitric oxide nasal spray, and you just spray it, and it kills 99.9% of the COVID vaccines and COVID viruses. Okay, but of course by the time it was going down, so I don't know what happened to their business. But anyway, they claim that. And so see, not only Brahmari. So any time you say the it's the same thing happening. So probably that's why somehow in all cultures, the way you call your mother, it's always involves okay, whether it is amma or ammi or mommy or ma or mata or whatever. So all of us, who is lucky to have a mother alive, when your mother is there, you feel relaxed, right? Maybe, it's partly nitric oxide also, I don't know. And also there are some prayers. How many of you have heard of Chamakam? Rudram Chamakam? Yes. So this Chamakam is like this, Pranastame, Vyanastame, like that, me, everything. It lists something like 350 things. It prays to the God, you give me this. It actually says, you give me Goduma, you give me gold, you give me this, It prayer is about what all you need for a human being, everything is listed. It's a very ancient Gedi prayer. And every word ends with may. Okay, I don't know the meaning of the may there, but the ma is there. Probably, it was all planned, or other things have, some chantings will end with namaha, right? Namaha is like namaskar, something. So that also has ma. So any of the mas, you can even hum a song, your favorite song, you get nitric oxide. Anyway, I'll skip this. Wounds also need oxygen to heal. So I'm trying to say how important is, I have only 11 minutes, I need to go faster. So this I got from the website of Johns Hopkins Hospital. So they use hyperbaric oxygen therapy for wound healing. Somebody has a fire wound and then a very serious wound, and they are not recovering fast, the wounds, because it's most of the skin might have gone. They put them into a chamber, and it's pumped with hyperbaric, means oxygen with pressure higher than the atmospheric pressure, and it accelerates the healing. So oxygen has all these benefits. And when you normally breathing, that the way you are looking at just observing your breathing, 23 muscles are active, and all of them are active when you are inhaling. When you are exhaling, it's just like a balloon going. Okay, so but when you do some very intense breathing, there is something called, there is breathing like this. How many of you have done this? It's called Bhastrika. Somebody knows that. I didn't want to use the term. So when you do Bhastrika, almost 89 of your muscles will be active. Okay? Because you are activating your shoulder breathing, chest breathing, everything, and abdomen and all, because it's forced inhalation and forced exhalation. So there are in the body there are around 640 muscles. So out of that, 14% of the muscles are involved in some way with the breathing. You can see how much importance nature has given to breathing. And similarly, in the spinal cord, except a few, everything is involved in controlling some muscle related to. Some of them will be there active only for normal breathing. Some of them will come into picture when you do forced breathing, forced inhalation or exhalation. Again, not much enough time. You can see that C1 to C5 here, T1 to T11, 11, and here another 2. So something like 17 spinal nerves are involved. So let's skip that again. And how much you can increase the intake of oxygen. I was shocked when I found this. It seems adult, when you breathe normally, around half a liter of air goes in. But when you do the best possible, maybe with some practice and all that, you can inhale up to 4.5 liters. So from 0.5 liters, you can go to 4.5 liters. I couldn't believe it. Is it really true? Then I Googled, it's there in everywhere. You can get many references for that. So all of that is possible. And there is something interesting called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. How many of you know respiratory sinus arrhythmia? Sorry, I don't pass you in life science. It's a very important phenomenon. So respiratory, it's about breathing. Rhythm, something that goes in a rhythm. Arrhythmia is when the rhythm is disturbed. And sinus this refers to something called a sinus node, sinoatrial node. In the top right of your heart, there are some cells which are like oscillators. They keep giving electrical signals like that, which is the starting point of your heart pumping. This is the electrical signal, and that starts the heart is a muscle, So that is the sinus that is mentioned here. It's a sinoatrial node. So when you do breathing, it changes the rhythm of your heart. That's what it means. And this is not only for human beings, for all the vertebrates it happens. When you inhale, your heart rate goes up during that time. When you exhale, your heart rate comes down. It happens all the time. So when you do a very slow and deep inhalation, your heart rate keeps on increasing for a longer duration, and it can also decrease. And in our experiments with young people like most of you in my lab, people can easily change their heart rate up to 20 beats per minute just by deep breathing. They are not yogis or people who do regular, like our friend here, who has practiced a lot. We are calling specifically, we have called people who are not doing any yoga, pranayama, this thing, and they are able to change by doing deep breathing. They are able to change heart rate up to 20 beats per minute. Okay, so that much is possible for us. And so I say, together with deep breathing and this respiratory sinus arrhythmia, just sitting and doing deep breathing is an amazing heart-lung exercise. So what do you do when people say, you have to run or you have to walk? Your heart rate increases. And they say, you dance with that music and it has to double and all that, right? You don't have to do anything. Just sit there and deep breathe. Your heart is exercised. That's what I found. And because of which, I got the benefit of, my BP getting controlled. This is one slide which we have taken from our, this thing. Not only the heart rate changes, but even the amplitude of the ECG, electrical activity of the heart. You can see that, this is our, this blue thing is actually our breathing signal. So this is inhalation, this is hold, exhalation, hold. But the transducer is not linear. So when you are holding, it still moves a little. You should trust me that it's where they were actually holding. During the hold, you can see that amplitude is almost same. But when they are exhaling, the ECG amplitude, this is the red thing is ECG amplitude. Each one is a ECG beat. It increases. And then again they are holding, it's here, that's constant. So when they are inhaling, the ECG amplitude comes down. So there is an inverted this thing for the ECG amplitude also. Along with that, also rate changes. This is the rate. So this is again, the blue is the breathing signal, and the orange is the heart rate in beats per minute. So you can see the beats per minute goes from 75 to 95. So as they inhale, the heart rate also increases. And when they exhale, heart rate comes down. This is well known in respiratory sinus arrhythmia. But what we found, and we published this the first time in the world, is that when you are holding the breath, also they were breathing around 2 breaths per minute. And during the hold also, the heart rate is fluctuating. So when we wrote the paper, they said the interesting observation, tell us what is the mechanism. I said, I am an engineer, I don't know the mechanism. I can only tell what we observed. You give the mechanism. Then they published it. So anyway, you should, some of you should study and tell me the mechanism. So there are papers which says breathing modulates the cerebrospinal fluid flow rate. You can check, there is one paper here, respiration, a new mechanism for CSF circulation, Journal of Neuroscience. There are other papers, if you want, I can give you. So there's so much, the brain and breathing are involved. So, we recorded EEG during different breathing states, and one of my postdocs could distinguish whether somebody is inhaling or exhaling or holding after inhale or holding after exhale. These 4 states, we could distinguish up to 95% classification only by observing EEG, only extracting some features from EEG. So you can see how closely they are connected. So in one way, yes, when you are controlling the breathing, you are consciously using your brain to control the breathing. But there is also feedback that it is changing your EEG also. So since there is less time, I have 3 more minutes from what was given. So this is another thing you have to read. There is a German scientist called Otto Warburg who got a Nobel Prize. He was a biochemist. He said, cancer basically needs a low oxygen environment to survive. So he took 40 rats, 20 rats, all of them he created cancer by doing whatever he did. And in one of them, around the cancer tissue, he made sure that it is properly perfused and enough oxygen is available. And the cancer was staying there. It did not spread and they were alive after 15 days. The other set of rats, they didn't do anything. They all died after 15 days. So he showed that cancer can only spread if there is dearth of oxygen. Unfortunately, doctors don't do anything. So we need to do this thing about deep breathing for cancer patients, even if they are going through some treatment. What is the effect of breathing that we need to do that? There is some paper actually on that, but again, not. So let me end with this epigenetics. So you know already epigenetics, so I will not tell you anything about it. So there is this paper published in PLOS One in April 2013. So they did 2 hours of a program which involved some yogasana, some breathing and deep relaxation. And the blood was sampled before and after the comprehensive yoga program. They saw that expressions of 111 genes change in the lymphocytes. See, lymphocytes are related to your immune system. So they positively change. So what they said is, the yogic practice have rapid effects at the molecular level on the circulating immune cells. Within 2 hours is what this found. Okay. So that powerful is the breathing techniques. So these are the last 2 slides. So like your president said in the day, 1.5 minutes, you should introduce some IKS. I feel that it should be breathing. I recently published a paper in Frontiers for Young Minds. There is a journal which is only meant for school children. And it is reviewed also along with some scientists. Children between 10 to 15 years, they also review. Some children from Canada and some from India, they reviewed. They say, oh, this word is too complicated, you simplify like that. So finally it's published. And I am working with a school in Chennai, and they have introduced it as a lesson for 9th standard this year. I feel that if children know about all of this, then they will be taking care of their own health by breathing, much better. So that's one of the things that we need to introduce this in schools. And I've talked to many doctors. None of the doctors know anything about this because they don't study. I'm not blaming them. It's not there in the curriculum. The pharmaceutical companies have bribed those people who write the books sufficiently so that none of this is ever entered into the MBBS books. Not only in here, anywhere in the world. So my friend, the neurosurgeon, I asked him how to improve immunity during COVID. I asked, AGR, don't ask me these questions. We deal with only disease. If you have disease, we can cure. We don't know about good health. He told me, we never study about it. It's a fact. So I have written this thing that we need to revise the medical curriculum so that they also learn about positive health. The previous speaker talked to you about positive health. There is no concept of positive health in allopathy. Allopathy means alleviation of disease. Allo means alleviation. Pati is disease. So their life starts only if you have a disease. If you say how to improve my health, this is no, go somewhere, right? So we need to really change that. So finally, this is for you, each one, everyone sitting here. This is related to my commitment. See, you know something about, how many of you got something new and the importance of breathing for your life? Okay. This is important now. You got a knowledge, but knowledge is not equal to action. Knowledge will not give you any benefits physically. You have to do action. You have to convert that knowledge into action. So that's what I'm saying. So my talk would have achieved its purpose if for the rest of your life, I'm not talking today, rest of your life, give importance to breathing as a very, very important input for your families and for those who are teachers, your students' health. And like I told you, tell all your people, you may have some senior people, 60, 70, 80 years. Even if they are lying down in bed, they can do deep breathing. They can't do exercise, but they can do deep breathing, and it has really helped people, I have seen. And that will be a simple way of achieving the goal of Fit India. And that I intend to be the key takeaway of this talk. So if you clap and you say, great talk, I'm not interested in that. But if you say that I'm started practicing and I have got some benefit, I'll be really thrilled to hear that. So anyway, those things are not relevant any longer. Okay, I think I'll stop here. I don't want to take next person time. Already we are behind him.